This is the Divorce Attorney's Guide to Dating, and I'm Leonard R. Boyer, Esquire. And this video is coming to you raw and unedited because that's the way dating is. Now, what you may be asking, why should you listen to me? What qualifies me to give you dating advice? I've, as a divorce attorney, I've professionally handled over the last 39 years probably about 3,000 cases, countless domestic violence trials, and I've been married and divorced more times than I care to admit. And I've seen it all. However, this channel is not about me, it's about you. I'm going to give you information pertaining to dating, questions you should ask the other person in a dating advice, and some of this is going to be controversial. Some of this will be entertaining. Some of this will be boring. But a lot of it is things you need to know. When you go out on a date in person, it's very different from texting someone. And what I want you to do as you listen to this is write down and put in the comments your questions and what you would like to learn about dating. I'm going to tell you several things, some of which you may have heard before, some of which you may never have heard, and some of which you refuse to believe. But trust me, if you want, if you wish or not, this is about you, not me. Now, there are a lot of people that talk with their hands. Sometimes I do that. And dating is not the same for everyone. I'm even going to take a coffee break. I'm not going to tell you what coffee I choose because that would be inappropriate for this video, not about coffee. But let me give you two broad principles about dating that you probably are not aware of. Dating is all about sales. That's right, sales. You are either being sold or you're selling yourself. Not like a not in the sense of a prostitute selling his or herself, but in the sense of you getting the other person to want you. This is also not going to be a channel about gold digger videos. There are plenty of those channels about gold diggers, and you can find them all you want. And we're not going to be talking about sugar daddies and sugar babies because that's not relevant to most dating situations. We're talking about getting to know what you should know about another person before you start a dating relationship. Now, my first piece of advice to you is, and you can't rely on this exclusively because frequently they're wrong. What you should do is when you know the real name of the person, run an online background check about the person. Can't hurt, may not be the right information. Some of it may be, some of it won't. But when you meet or before you meet, you'll have an idea of who you're meeting. And a lot of people don't show you who they really are. And by the way, I'm going to change the names and some situations to protect the identities of real people that I have met in my life. And I will tell you stories that may be altered so you don't realize who I'm really talking about. I will give you situations from my own life as well as from what I've been told by other people. Remember, when you do over 3,000 divorces, and countless domestic violence trials, you learn a lot about other people. I was in court once with a client of mine, and we were there for a domestic violence trial. And it was not a closed courtroom, it was pre pandemic. And the person in front of me was seeking a final restraining order against her then husband. She told the story to the court, and again, I can't identify the county. She told the story to the court where her husband came to dinner, and as she was feeding him dinner, he realized that his white shirt was partially red. He had been shot with a bullet, and he was still eating dinner. My client and I looked at each other in amazement. If I had been shot by a bullet, I wouldn't be sitting down to eat dinner. I can guarantee you that. Now, another thing you can't judge is where a person is taking you for a date. I know of a couple who are still married, and their first date was anything but what you'd normally expect a first date to be. But he learned one very important thing about her. It was not about the money. That's one of the things you need to learn early on. Another thing is you can't judge a person by how they look all the time. If you want to see examples of that, go look at those gold digger videos on YouTube, and you'll see plenty of examples of people being made a fool of. How important is a person's car? Something to think about. What will a car or vehicle or other vehicle tell you about the person? It may not tell you anything, or it may tell you everything. That's for you to decide. But another tip I'm going to give you is you want to listen very carefully about how that other person talks about previous relationships. If every relationship broke up under the same circumstances, or you see a pattern that may raise red flags. If you're a woman and you're talking to a man, and the man is negative descriptions of every woman he's broken up with after a relationship, that's it's a big red flag. Now, it takes two people to make a relationship. Never, I'll give you one piece of advice, never, ever date anyone who is either significantly older or younger than you, because that can cause its own set of problems, both legal and otherwise. And always, please date someone who is what you're looking for. Excuse me. You don't have to compromise. That's right. You don't have to compromise. No matter what you think, believe in yourself and believe that things can always change for the better. Sometimes don't try to change a person. It's not going to work. I know that from plenty of experience. The person, whether the person's political beliefs are the same as yours or not, may or may not determine whether the relationship is going to work. There are many famous couples that are in the news frequently that are, their political views are completely and totally different. from each other, yet they've had long-standing marriages. There are many relationships that broke apart over differences in political views. Quite frankly, in my opinion, if that determines whether or not you should have a relationship with a person, I don't know, you might be missing out on something really good. But before we get too long-winded here, the main takeaways I want you to have from this video are that dating, like life, is frequently all about sales. You're either selling something or you're being sold something. Choice of whether to take that or not is up to you. And number two, never get involved in a relationship where someone is manipulative and controlling. Anyone who tries to cut you off from your friends and family, doesn't want to meet them, that should raise a red flag. And third and finally, in the comments below, leave me all your questions, concerns, what you agree with, what you like, and what type of questions you want me to answer in future videos. And finally, this channel is for you. It's all about you. You drive this channel. You determine what kind of videos I make, what they're about, but I will promise you this. As often as possible, they're going to be raw and unpolished and unedited. So, because that's the way the dating world is. Now, how somebody shows up to a date may or may not indicate who they really are. There are countless videos and countless stories about people showing up for dates in very different ways than what they normally are. It took me a lifetime to find the right person. And we've been together 8 years. And I'll tell you something else. You don't need a license to be in love. So if you enjoy this content, please do me a favor and do your friends a favor. Click on the subscribe button and check the bell icon if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this on some other platform, please be sure to share it with your friends. You never know what you may learn. This is a divorce attorney's guide to dating, and I'm Leonard Boyer. Thank you for watching.